That worked, Shawn. It looks like you're now streaming on Facebook.
Cool. Thank you, Matt. Gotta love technology. All right. All right. Okay. So I'm going to dive right in. I got my own pack of markers here. So you guys, I'm all sanitized up. Got my markers, my own eraser, my own water here. So this has been such an interesting time, right? When we had our Vision 2020 shirts, I'm actually going to record on here as well. So we're going to record to this computer. Cool. All right. So we're rocking. So when, and this is funny because I had this conversation with somebody else here in our office. When we had our Vision 2020 shirts, this was definitely not in the vision, like this whole thing, right? Like I would have never thought I would be up here giving a virtual presentation to the office, right? With nobody here, just chairs and empty desks and stuff like that. So as the majority of most people have in the last 30 days, we've adapted. I've adapted. Our strategies have adapted, our mindset has adapted. And so with that, we also have to kind of adapt our business plan, right? So again, going back to the whole Vision 2020, this was not in the vision, right? Nobody really kind of had the foresight to see this going forward when we were talking about all this stuff in November, December, and maybe some flurries of it in January, like, this might happen, but nobody knew of this magnitude of the coronavirus and all the stuff that would really hit here. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free, drop them in the chat section here too. Again, I do want to keep this focused more so on the content, and then we'll go to questions. So revisiting my business plan, my GPS and my 411, for anybody that's non-KW here, GPS is your one goal, 3 priorities, 5 strategies. So GPS, or 135 as we call it here. I'm not going to go too crazy in depth into those. If you have more questions on those, feel free to ask me. I'll send you mine. I'll send you whatever I have. I want to go a little beyond just the GPS talk that we always hear and that kind of stuff as well. So there's 3 major areas of focus that I've always focused on, even before the GPS, even before the 411. And I'm applying these to the 411 actually in the GPS to actually take it a step further. So in those 3 areas, I call them like the core, core system of business, right? Hopefully you guys can see this. So we're going to say the core system of business, and the 3 areas of focus are production, and more so importantly than ever going into this in the next 90 days, protection and perception. Those are 3. There's a 4th one as well, which is tied into health and all that stuff, but I'm not going to get into that for the business planning here. But the 3 main types: production, protection, perception. Right. And so we're going to jump into production. I'm just going to erase my core systems here so I have some real estate. I'm like closed in here. I got a desk here. I got a desk here with a bunch of markers on it that are probably going to fall. So we left this place a mess. Cool. So I'm going to jump into production. And with production, you guys hear me and everybody else talk so much about lead generation, right? And so our lead generation mindset going into this entire situation has to also shift with the times, right? Like if I pick up a phone 2 weeks ago and call a first sale by owner or an expired, they're going to say, "Hey, why are you calling me?" There's going to be a pushback there. And I understand that. And so I had backed off of that, and I actually changed the term lead generation to the lead gen to love gen, right? Like we want to love on people now. Now's the time to follow up, with our actual sphere, the people that matter to us, the people that we have relationships with, because those are the people that know us, love us, trust us, and we know them and we love them. And we also want to deepen that relationship with them as well. Going into the next 90 days, so we're going to say, so lead gen, love gen, right? But going into these next 90 days, we could start adding in, going back to calling the expireds, calling the first sale by owners, being able to actually start to talk real estate with our database. Granted, we should always be talking real estate with the database, but there's been a little bit of an okay level of pulling off of that a bit into being more so in like a care mode, as opposed to, do you want to list? Do you want to sell? Who do you know, right? So we've taken that language out of it. But going back into the production phase, one of the most important parts of the production phase is, especially going into these next 90 days, is going to be scheduling, right? And by scheduling, this is going to be scheduling the time. And this by all means is like super important, especially if you have kids that you have to school. You you basically became the teacher. I tell my wife all the time, you became the teacher, the janitor, the school nurse, all in one, right? I'm just walking around like a superintendent. I just show up for like cool things and wear, do whatever. So the important part for the people that have to teach, scheduling is priority one, right? Like, how hard is it? It's hard for me, and I have my wife at home to be able to teach my two boys and do what she needs to do to meet their school requirements. Me, I've had to implement and change my schedule to take my 2-year-old daughter, and now we drive around in the morning, and then I bring her home, and then I come back to the office now for 2 hours as of this week, as of yesterday, 2 days ago. So there's some adaptability, but it all starts with the scheduling here. So if we could schedule this lead gen, right? If we look at what the next 30 days looks like, the question is, who are we going to talk to, right? Who are we talking to in the next 30, right? So you may want to start to actually sprinkle in the first sale by owners, the expireds. Of course, the coronavirus, COVID-19, all that stuff is going to come up in conversation, but I am absolutely confident within now, in the next 30 days, you can have a realistic conversation with for sale by owners or expireds, or whoever you're calling here that you don't know yet and that you don't have a relationship with, and begin to start talking about real estate again. I'm not saying that everybody has stopped talking real estate. That's definitely not the implication here. But on a realistic, humanized level, right? We're not going in for the kill. At least I'm not just going in for the kill, right? Like, we have to change the way we act around people. Like, we have to be human, right? The last thing we want to do is just go in for the kill, and now now our business is in the crapper. Now we're known as that agent that really has cold blood, right? Ice running through my veins. So on this production model, the big focus is going to be lead generation going into the 30, 60, 90 days. And who are we going to call, right? I believe you can start to call strangers again, if you're not doing this. And again, always comply to the do not call list. If the stay-at-home order actually has, if your stay-at-home order, I know some states, I'm not sure where you're listening from, hopefully we're all kind of local here. But if your stay-at-home order has you not allowed to call, don't call, okay? So I know, I'm not sure if it was New Jersey that implemented that or not, but be smart, okay? Do not call list, all that stuff, just be smart about it. But I believe you can actually have conversations, forward-thinking conversations with people that you don't know about real estate, and it's going to be well received within the next 30 days. So what does that look like in 60 days? Who are you talking to in 60 days? I think by 60 days, you're back on the horse, calling these people, calling your database, and really asking for business. Okay, going into 90 days, should be pulling out what you have done the last 30 and 60 days at that 90-day mark. So what are we, April, May, June? So in July, right, you should be reaping the fruits of April, half of April, right, May, and June, right? Because a lot of this stuff, you have to gain some momentum. If I just pick up the phone right now and I call for sale by owners, probably not going to be as sharp as I was 2 months ago, right? I mean, it's just kind of the reality situation. I'll be able to talk to people. I'm probably going to choke up a little bit, and I'm probably going to be like, all right, they hung up on me, or, I got rejected, and I'll accept it. But, this is going to actually build some skill. And yes, get your accountability partner. Yes, script practice, role play, all that stuff you must do. No question about it. But so in the next 30, 60, 90 days, all this stuff, your lead generation should kind of be back to normal, right? Like what we want to do, my goal here today is to just jumpstart the engine, right? Like just spark it a little bit. All right, cool. We're still in the midst of this. There is no denying this whatsoever. I feel like we're kind of like coming over the hump a little bit, right? And I'm putting that out there for me too, because I have to get over that hump of being like, it's okay. Let's start doing this. So also a huge part of production, right? We have lead generation. We obviously have lead follow-up. Sorry guys, my writing's like hieroglyphics. So we also have lead follow-up. And then with lead follow-up, same thing. You want to really dial into a schedule, right? My typical schedule before COVID, 9:30 to 11:30 in the office, door closed, lead generation, that's it. 11:30 to 12:30, lead follow-up. This has changed, okay? This has definitely changed for me. Like my lead follow-up now, I got my daughter in my car at, from 9:30 to 11:30 driving around. It's whenever I can call, whoever I can call, right? Like it hasn't been very systematic. And, if you look at the MLS, there has been a ton of listings that have come on the market. Yes, listings have come on the market, but it has definitely dipped from where it was. There's no denying it, right? So we have to be on top of our lead follow-up game, probably more so than before this even started, just to get back to that equilibrium, to allow the engine to move, to then get more listings on the market, which when we talk about number 3, put number 1 up here. When we talk about number 3, perception, that's all going to tie into there as well. So, so with production, we have lead generation. Key here is scheduling, right? This is going to be the key to basically everything that we talk about. This is going to be the key to your life, right? If you could schedule things, nothing else is going to matter, because if it's in your schedule, it's going to happen. I'm a huge believer in my core that that's the case. So lead follow-up, schedule it. Where can you apply this in your day? Where can you apply it in your day and be consistent? Does it change from the next 30 to 60 days to the 90 days? Again, the whole goal for this 90-day business plan is by 90 days, you're up and going, right? And to take that one step further, this entire 90-day business plan, I'm going to erase this when I'm going to number 2 here, but it's all going to be predicated on what is your transaction target, right? So this was a hard question that I had to ask myself, and I want to make sure. Okay, cool. So that is in the screen. This word target, now we think of target as like this place to go and buy, wait online and try to buy toilet paper that's empty. But target, you either hit it or you don't. Okay. I always take the sniper example, right? So when a sniper goes to aim at his target, he either hits it or he does not. A goal to me is a number to try to hit, right? But when you look at what a target is, like what's your transaction target in the next 90 days? Is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 12? Is it 26? That's going to depend on you and realistically what you can do in your business tied into the entire production, the production phase of this entire core system. And in my honest opinion, production is probably the most important part because you can have all the protection in the world. If you have no production, you have nothing to protect. You can put out the perception, you could take in the perception and change your mindset and do all this other stuff. But if you have no production, there's no perception that you can put out there. So when you shift your focus to number one, that's why it's number one, the production, and then you base it around like, what is your target? You know, this is the question to ask yourself around this entire core system here. So back to lead follow-up, schedule it, know your numbers. All these numbers are going to tie into what's the target, 2, 6, 9, 13, whatever the number is for the next 90 days. And you could actually take this target down. Like, what's my target for lead generation? How many expireds am I going to call? I'm going to do, 10 a day. And I'm not here to go through that. I'm here to just kind of alter your thinking on this entire business plan. I mean, there's so many different webinars on expireds and for sale by owners and all that stuff. And I don't want to take up our time here together with the stuff that you could find somewhere else. Also in production, we have marketing. We have marketing and branding. So with marketing and branding, it's all going to go back to scheduling as well. You guys got this? Hopefully you do. So with marketing and branding, and production is probably going to be the one that I spend the most time on because, again, it's the most important piece because without production, there is nothing. So if we were to look at marketing, branding, this is somewhere where I don't put a huge emphasis on. However, this is super important. These are two completely different things, right? Marketing is making a flyer and putting your property on it and sending it out. Branding is how you show up in other people's minds, right? So these are two different things, and I'm lumping these together because they do go hand in hand. You need your branding on your marketing, but your marketing doesn't have to be your branding, okay? So breaking these two down, the question becomes here, the obvious question is, who are you, right? But the real question is, who do I want to attract, right? So when it comes to marketing, when it comes to branding, everybody asks me all the time, like, dude, you wear a black shirt all the time. Every time you do a class, you do a black shirt. I'm like, you know what? This is kind of like, it's like my branding, right? And so when I put these things out there, people don't know if I did it Tuesday, Wednesday, last Thursday, whatever, kind of all lumps in together. So it's become a little bit of like a branding thing for me. And who do I want to attract? When you're putting marketing out there, when you're doing your social media posts, who do you want to attract from that? I've seen some awesome stuff throughout this entire thing on social media, mostly on Facebook and Instagram, and tons of awesome TikTok stuff, right? And what I think a lot of that does is it humanizes us, especially in a time where, there's that barrier of sales. There's human, there's the barrier of sales, and then there's compassion, right? And what we've done in this time is kind of break through that barrier with being funny, with being human, with being social, right? And I know people that put stuff out there, even though it's not so super salesy, it's not so super marketing, there's underlying intention behind it to stay visible during this time as a real estate agent, right? Like I put something out yesterday that which house would you rather live in? I took it from somebody else, and I believe she's actually on this call, and I'm so appreciative of it. And it got a ton of engagement, right? But to me, as awesome as that is, like, it's marketing. It's marketing, right? There's like actually a combo of marketing and branding, right? I'm branding myself as the person who actually puts stuff on social media, the person who's not afraid to put stuff on social media that maybe, controversial or get hits or whatever. And when I say controversial, I don't mean like extreme controversial. That's the stuff you want to avoid. The stuff that, the stuff that creates contrast, right? There's a gray in between. But with the branding stuff, what putting stuff out on social media allows you to do, and I'm a huge believer in this as well, it shows other people that you are willing to put things out there for masses to see. And honestly, like, that's why I play so huge on social media. Like, my biggest thing is Facebook. And it's not so much that, like, I know that I'm going to sell a house by putting a video out there, right? Like, most people don't even look at the videos, but the people that see me put the videos out there is the person I want to attract. Like, I want to attract the person to be like, that guy put a great video out. Let's hire that dude because he can put it out in our house too, right? It shows your willingness to put, basically, to like kind of stick your head out and be okay with it, right? So kind of like this video. I just got a weird glimpse of, oh my God, I'm talking to nobody here. But you guys here, which is totally awesome. So production, tying this into marketing, branding, one of the key things, obviously, social media. Huge thing on here, schedule it out. Schedule it out, right? Sunday night, make a little thing like, hey, I'm going to post this on Monday, I'm going to post this on Wednesday, I'm going to post this on Friday, or I'm going to post this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, this on Thursday, this on, whatever your cadence is, whatever your schedule is, whatever like the actual, whatever the it is, just set it in motion, set it in writing, and do it. And to tie this into 90 days, what you put out there today and the engagement that you get on it, make note. Take note in here, take note on a pad, take note on your notes in your iPhone, take note somewhere, because each different thing that you put out on social media, someone else may see. Like, for example, I put something out there, I have one group of people, or individual people like it, whether it's realtors, whether it's buyers, whether it's whether it's just people in my circle. And then I put something else out there that's completely different, and a whole completely different group of individuals likes that. And I'm like, this person has never liked my post ever. And so I take note of that. Who's that person? Why did they just like that? Okay. So, and that gives you, future guidance to basically market to them. Right? I don't want to go into too much of social media, but you guys know that I'm a huge advocate for actually breaking down your friends list to different groups. That, honestly, that's gold right now. If you can do that, you have the time to do that. There's a little thing on the left-hand side if you're on your desktop. It's so much easier doing it on your desktop or on your computer than trying to do it on your phone. I don't even know how to do it on the phone, but on the computer, let's see if there's a way. You know what? I'll screen share it at the end. So breaking your friends list down into different lists. I have a list for realtors. I have a list for past clients. I have a list for who I want to attract. I literally have a list that's called who I want to attract in there, right? Whether it's buyers, sellers, like, who do I want to enter into my world? And that's one of the lists that I market to on social media. Also, for marketing and branding, now is probably the best time in your life to get your, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, get your database in order, right? One of the biggest reasons we tell ourselves that we don't have our database in order is because we don't have the time. And I know a super, super successful agent who probably has less time than everybody, who has been super purposeful with their database and is killing it right now. And honestly, this is an area where I got to step up in and really, really, after I drop my daughter off, maybe come back here in the afternoon and be able to do it while nobody's here. But the excuse of not having the time to work on this right now, it's out the window. It really is out the window. So those are the major parts of production. Again, lead generation, who are we going to call? When are we going to call them in the next 90 days? What's that going to look like? Lead follow-up, and how many people in your pipeline, right? Like how many people are there in your pipeline right now that you need to follow up with that you haven't spoke to? I know I have people, I'm like, oh man, I got to call this person, right? We always have like those people. I don't want to say everybody can't get to everybody, but we really should. I just saw something pop up here. So that's definitely something that, you definitely need to focus on. Definitely the pipeline. One of the things too, if you want a little nugget here, the Reach app on your iPhone, awesome. It is absolute gold. I can't preach about it enough. It's called Reach, R-E-A-C-H. It's a mass text message app that lets you text from your own iPhone. You don't have a separate number. I pay $5 a month for it for the full version. I have all different groups, all different lists in there that I send mass text messages out. Shoot me an email, Shawn@annonrealestate.com, if you want a couple texts that I've sent out to people. I don't want to take up too much time here with it. So key thing is with the production, make sure you schedule it, all right? So I'm going to take this to number 2. Move this thing along. So we're going to number 2. Protection. So we got production, number 1, and protection. One of the things that I've enacted over this time, and especially in a time like this, transaction Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, go through every transaction, make sure everything is in. And I call it Transaction Tuesdays. Obviously, because it starts with a T, right? And that I can't take credit for Transaction Tuesdays. This was actually, this was an idea by another agent that I spoke to that does their transaction management on Tuesdays. And what that basically does, it gives you 4 days in the remaining week to get stuff in order, right? So if you know on Tuesday that you don't have a mortgage commitment yet that's due on Friday, you got Wednesday, Thursday, or half a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to get to that mortgage commitment and see what you have to do. If deposit monies aren't in, it's just a quick check over. And in times like these, you have to expect the fallout rate to go up because of the unpredictability and because of the mindset of some of the people out there. And and that's going to be super powerful. So Transaction Tuesdays, just make it Tuesday, take it, steal it, whatever. Let me see. Somebody is telling me to let me in the Zoom. It's not locked, man. It's not locked. All right. Give me a sec. Sorry, guys. All right, I'm going to leave that. Damn distraction. That's Eric Melikoff, by the way. I'm sure anybody could have possibly guessed who's going to try to derail me here. All right, cool. So Transaction Tuesdays. What you want to focus on most, obviously, you're going to look at the deadlines. You're going to look at the dates, and you're going to kind of take like a mental note and be like, all right, where's the most vulnerability right now, right? Like I have a couple deals that are pretty vulnerable, right? And so I have stuff that that was saved, and now buyers are reneging a little bit, and now things are starting to change with the seller. The seller was okay here. Now the seller's like, why am I going to do this? So I know that's a vulnerable transaction right now, right? So I'm all over that, and that's something that honestly, that can't wait till next Tuesday. That was dealt with yesterday, and that was also dealt with this morning. So going back to protection for the next 90 days especially, and I keep going back to this 90 days because we're at a point to where we're going over the hump, and this is just such a crucial time. This really is such a crucial time to get new business, a crucial time to close current business, and a crucial time to keep our head right going into the remaining 8 months or 7.5 months of this year, which are going to set the stage for 2021. Like, it's crazy we're in April and we're already talking about 2021 as if we just want 2020 to be over already. But the reality is there's still 7.5 months left in this year. And of those 7.5 months, granted, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 30 to 60 days with COVID and all that stuff, and the economy, but there is still a good amount of time right now to conduct business, right? And so by protecting the business that you do have, this is going to give you future paychecks, right? And I say future paychecks because I know that I'm still in business, and I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. But like the whole unemployment thing, like I just can't take myself to do that because I know that I'm in control of my future, right? And I know that it's out there and it's a viable option for a lot of people that can absolutely really use it, right? And look, we could all use extra money, especially going into a time of uncertainty with the markets and recession talk and all this other stuff. But I just, for my mindset, like that doesn't work for me. PPP, like that kind of stuff, cool. I'm definitely visiting those options. But again, by bulletproofing your transactions, and I'm not going to go into the shift models and all that stuff because there's tons of stuff out there on that as well. Protecting the transaction and really bulletproofing that future paycheck, this is going to help you 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. This is going to help you 240 days down the road, which is going to be super important for your mindset, because once you get to that place and things start to become a little more difficult, right? And your focus on production has to almost double to get to where you once were 3 months ago. If the market doesn't, let's say, change for the better or get back to where it was, this takes a lot of energy, is really what I'm trying to say. Protection takes energy. Production, in my eyes, production's fun, right? Production's like, all right, go get it. Like it's the hunting. Protection, right? Protection, you almost kind of like, you almost do whatever like kind of crazy stuff that you probably normally wouldn't do to, like think about like being in the wild, just like protecting your young, right? You're going to do different things. When you're hunting, you're like, all right, I'm going to go get it, right? So it's a different mindset to go into protection. And again, looking at 90 days out, just implementing protection and that mindset of protection of what you have to be able to close, super, super, super important. Another thing for protection too, you're going to have to look at, obviously, appraisals. I'm not going to go into the Fannie Mae guidelines, but with desktop appraisals, we're already seeing it here in our market. Desktop appraisals, this is going to create conservative values, right? Because appraisers aren't going out to the properties. So what happens when the appraiser doesn't go out to the property? They don't know the inside of the property. They don't know what it looks like. And so from there, they're going to just draw their own conclusions. I had a property last week that didn't appraise, actually appraised for $40,000 less than what we're selling it for. It's my buyer, and the appraiser didn't take into consideration it was a half bath in the basement, didn't take into consideration there were 2 extra rooms in the house. I fought him on the square footage, and I actually got him out there to go and measure it. So, staying on top of this and actually, obviously keeping this a part of your Tuesday, right? this is going to help you protect your deals. Being in touch with appraisers, I could tell you from a personal experience, has helped me hand over fist save deals without a doubt. And the more I feel like the more you talk to them, the more human you become. It's almost like, look, we're all in this pandemic together, and the more solid and cemented relationship that you can actually bring to an appraisal, to an appraiser that's doing the appraisal, this is going to help you tremendously. And, I could tell you from personal experiences throughout, one of the suggestions were, hey, look, if they're not going out, how are you going to get them the comps? I always bring appraisers to comps. They're 99% of the time well received. Occasionally you get a person that doesn't take it. I can't tell you in the last 10 years, 2 people that have not taken the comps. How do you get them to them beforehand? Ask the appraiser for an email. Hey, I just want to shoot you a quick email with my information, maybe a couple comps since, because I'm a local expert here, or I do 90% of my business in town here, and this is my backyard. Whatever you could do to help him. And I always soften the blow with, hey, I know you have access to the same stuff anyway, but if there's anything I could do to lighten your load, I'm more than happy to do it. That's it, right? Very, very rarely are they going to say no. And when I meet appraisers in person, I hand them the comps and say, hey, look, I took the liberty and actually pulled some of this stuff for you. I know that you have access to this data as well, but hey, look, I pulled this for you and compared it to what you have, and they're usually fine with it. So desktop appraisals, this is going to be interesting. This will absolutely be interesting. I'm not even going to get into, the loan guidelines changing and all that stuff. The key is just stay on top of your deals, especially the ones that you think are vulnerable, right? Because if you think they're vulnerable, they're like, I don't know if that's going to close. You're probably right. Like, that's called your intuition, right? Another thing for protection too, let me just go through this one more quick. This is the one I shouldn't go through quick, right? But for protection, financials, right? In 90 days, what can you cut, right? I call it what the cut. You can do it on Friday, right? Somebody says they do their financials on Friday. We'll give it the F. So Financial Fridays, right? I can't spell today. So you got Financial Fridays. You want to think of what to cut. What can you cut out of your financials? What are your recurring expenses? Like, I know one of mine is the Reach app, $5. So I went through every single list of my expenses on what am I spending money on? What can I cut? Do I really need it? Is it a necessity? Is it a requirement? Is it helping my business move forward every single day? If it's not, okay, every month. If it's not, every quarter. If it's not, out, right? Like, what is my return? So that's it for protection. This is also important too, because again, the production is going to get you stuff to protect, right? That's why production is number 1 in my book, always. That's why lead generation over lead follow-up, in my opinion. Granted, you need the systems to follow up, but if you have no leads to follow up with, who are you following up with, right? And so if you have nothing to protect, that's why production takes number 1. So we got a few minutes here, guys. And so I'm going to jump into this last one, which is perception. Am I spelling that right? I think it's perception. No, it's a C. Jesus. So perception is a two-way street. With perception, you have inward, right? So with inward perception, you have your mindset. We're going to call it my mindset. Give me 1 sec, guys. Just plug this thing in. You think I'm doing a webinar? I would have remembered to plug my computer in. So my mindset, right? Inward, you got outward. Their mindset, okay? And so with perception, sorry guys, I had to get that battery thing out of here. So with perception, you have your mindset, their mindset, okay? In a happy world, this meshes perfectly. In a not so happy world, in a pandemic world, this is difficult to marry, okay? So that's why marketing is so important, branding is so important, because what you put out to their mindset usually comes from somewhere what's inward, okay? So when you focus on things, especially in a pandemic like this, when you focus on gratitude, right? Everybody knows I'm a gratitude guy, right? I bring this stuff up all the time. And even for me, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a week ago, I wake up, I do my gratitude. I'm like, man, it's like the gratitude just doesn't feel right? It feels different this week. It feels different today, but I still do my gratitude, right? And the importance of this, right? It's hard to block out everything that's going on, but if you could block out 80% of it, you could still feel gratitude. If you block out 100% of it, you're going to feel 1,000,000% better. And you're going to convey that over to here. Okay. So the key, I always say, you got to focus on gratitude, meditation, right? Like we have Donna here at the office at the market center who runs meditations. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I watched one. I want to get into some more, but again, it's making the time to do this stuff. It's not even about like, does it work? Does it not work? Does it just sit still, just sit still, sit still. And I try to tell this to my son, or allow my son who has like super high anxiety, sit still, enjoy where you are right now, because the future and the focus on the future always brings anxiety, right? And when you focus on the past, unless it's like great times in the past, right? Like a memory, like something happy, but when you focus on the past that isn't good, that isn't right, it just totally kills your mindset, right? So you got to get over the past. Don't worry about the future, stay in the present. And this certainly helps. And even if you're not into meditation, like if it's hard to get in tune, right? And if you're not, spirituality to me has nothing to do with religion. While some people might say spirituality is religion, awesome. If that's what works for them, great. To me, spirituality does not equal religion. It's got nothing to do with it. You could be spiritual and you could be religious. You could be spiritual and not be religious. You could be religious and not be spiritual. Spiritual has to do with your inner being. To me, no right, no wrong. So what I teach my son to do, and I actually had to bring myself into this as well, because we're all in a time of angst, right? Like we're in a pandemic, right? We are in a pandemic. So count your breaths. 2 things you can do. You count your breaths, and then you can also, when you breathe in or you inhale, you can in your head say inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. It works so well, especially when my mind is racing 1,000,000 miles an hour. And second way to do that is how we always say inhale, exhale, reverse the order. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. When you reverse the order, you completely shut everything else off in your brain, because it's so hard to do that you begin to just focus on your breath and you completely zone out. Try it. If you've never tried meditation, it's hard to meditate. Like I can't do this. Try the reverse breathing, the reverse telling yourself of what you're doing while you're breathing. And honestly, my son, who probably has anxiety through the roof, it helps him, it really does. So, and so that's something that I had to rediscover myself as well with this crazy pandemic. So, so this is the inward perception, right? Inward perception is what's going on in your market. Houses are still selling. Bottom line is, go to the MLS. So this is the inward that helps you, right? But there's also inward of MLS, market driven data, right? Go into the MLS. Are the sales still selling? The house is still selling? Yes. Are they selling as much as last year? According to my data, yeah. In this market, at least, yeah. How long does that go on for? The next 90 days are going to be a huge indicator on what happens here, right? And how do you implement this into your business plan? You create the narrative. We're in such a high narrative business that the narrative right now, homes are selling, right? Homes are selling, no doubt about it. I just sold 1, 2, 3, 4 in the last 2 weeks, right? At or above, maybe slightly a little less than asking price. So this is the narrative. This is the inward narrative in my head. You do have to be careful now, right? But going forward, you can put this out there, right? So the narrative is homes are selling. And what you want to do is, the reason why I drew this line here, like this is the barrier of the perception, the inward and the outward. So you're going to bust this narrative through here to the outward, because their mindset, the other people's mindset, hopefully you guys can see this, because their mindset is right now, nobody's walking through houses, right? Like this is the question I hear on the reg. Nobody's walking through houses now, right? And this is their mindset, right? This is the outward mindset. This is like their narrative. This is like the collective narrative. And I said, no, homes are selling. Sold 2 houses last week. One had 3 offers, another had 4 offers, right? So we hear these stories all the time. If you're on this call right now, or if you're on this webinar right now and you don't have any sales, take my story. Take the story from someone in your office. Take the story from people in our office. Just take the story and create the narrative. Okay? You want to be educational in your narrative. You want to be honest in your narrative. You want to be the authority in your narrative, and you do want to paint the accurate picture. Because you want to tell people the truth. Bottom line is you always want to tell people the truth. Okay? So there's an area of gray, right? There's the truth, there's lie, there's like some area of gray on some stuff. But the bottom line is right now, houses are still selling. Where this is going to go, I have people ask me all the time, where do you see the market going? I have no idea. No idea. I don't have a crystal ball. Anybody that tells you anything is kind of BS. That's just my take on it. Could go up, could go down, could stay flatline, could stay incrementally better. What I do know is that people are going to buy houses. People are going to sell houses. Regardless, people are going to buy houses, people are going to sell houses. Whether the market's up, whether the market's down, people are buying and selling houses regardless. It's not going to stop. It's definitely not going to stop. And so with this whole outward perception, with the inward perception, that's why all this stuff, like my mindset, to the gratitude, to the meditation, to the breathing, to MLS data, right? You're going from meditation to MLS data. What the heck does that have to do with anything? Everything. Because when your mind is right, you see this stuff with your mind being right, right? If your mind is not right and you start looking at this stuff, you're gonna drive yourself crazy, right? And this all creates your narrative and what you're projecting out to these people here, which is going to affect their mindset, which ultimately is going to affect whoever they talk to their mindset. And then this person gonna go talk to here, and this person here. And before you know it, you have a pandemic of bad mindset about the real estate market. So that's how important this piece is. So again, my third core system of all this is perception, right? And there's, again, two parts of perception, inward and outward. And which one is more important? I'm gonna say inward every day of the week, because even if there's nobody here at all, and this is right, you're gonna be in good shape, you're gonna survive, okay? That is all I got. I would love to open it for questions. Anybody have any questions in the chat box here? I know I went a little over my time. Christine Van Reeth, how you doing? Maria, how you doing? Matt had to run. I think he had another webinar. Let's see, who else is on here? Get out of the chat. Ashley, what program do I use for my database? Christine, definitely stop watching the news, 100%. Ashley, to answer your question, we have so we have this this thing called Command, and it's basically built by Gary Keller. I use a couple different things. I use Mojo, I use Command. I use Wise Agent that's still plugged into a couple different of my systems out there. But for the most part, everything runs through my Mojo and my Command. So that is, it's been super important for me. So you are welcome. You are welcome. How do I unmute everybody here? All right, you guys are all unmuted. Anybody else have any questions? I just see that Melnikov is in here. Any other questions, anybody? All right, so it is 2:27. I am going to sign off here, guys. This recording, we will make this, I'm sure we're going to make this available as well. All right. So if anybody missed it, I know we had a couple people sitting here waiting in the waiting room there, but guys, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Shawn.
You're welcome, man.